Alright, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's like 6:30 p.m. right now. I'm just leaving the gym. It was pull day. I had to go a little bit later today because I went on a ride along with my aunt over at a Vista, which is a utilities company. And we went and saw the electric side today, but she mostly works on the natural gas side, and it was pretty cool. But I think I'm going to talk about my experience in tomorrow's video or a later video, because I need some time to think about that and digest what I did so I can talk about it. But I'll just talk about, I listened to at the gym was Hamza's 4-hour work week guide thing, which was pretty good. I mean, it was his school lecture thing for his school that he does, and it was pretty good. It was he was talking about how if you don't, well, first they were talking about, this is kind of like the bigger picture here, where he was talking about from finite games and infinite games, where it's a basically there's two games that you play, where one is the finite game, where you have rules, you know the players, you have an outcome that you're trying to get to, and once you get to that outcome, then you stop playing the game. And that's like football or basketball is an example of that, like a sports game, really. And then there's infinite games where you don't know the players, there's not like a time thing that you do it for, and you never stop playing the game. The whole point of the game is to keep the game going and not to let it end. And so, like, an example of an infinite game is life, and like making money and stuff. And so basically he was talking about, like, if you don't see yourself doing something for the rest of your life, then just don't do it at all, basically. And that was such a good thing to say, and it's so eye-opening because it's so true. Because if you want, anything that you do should be worth doing, and if it's worth doing, then it should be worth doing for the rest of your life. It should become a lifestyle, so then you can actually become good at it and, like, make something out of it. If you're interested in it and you see yourself doing it for the long term, then it's worth doing, right? And then you can get more out of it, because then you can not only do that thing, but then you'll improve at it, so you'll be like one of the best if you actually enjoy doing it over a long enough time. And then also you can eventually start making money with whatever you do, because you'll be so good at that thing that you enjoyed, or that you do for a long time period, because you'll be good at it because you've done it for so long. And then, like, he was talking about how most people think of things as finite games, where they're like, oh, I'll just go on this diet until I lose 20 pounds, and then I'll go off the diet. And then guess what happens? They gain all those 20 pounds back that they just lost. And it happens over and over again, and it's just a big cycle, and it ends up taking more energy to keep coming off and going back on the thing that you're trying to do than it would have taken just to stick with it, create a routine, and do it every day, because then you know what you're doing every day, and you can constantly be doing it every day. You can be improving at that thing. And it was so eye-opening. It's like, duh, like, it makes so much sense, but people don't do it like this, and that's why it's so hard. It's so hard for me to pick one thing that I want to do, but I think I've narrowed it down. I really want to try sales. I need to try sales, and that's what I'm going to do. Whether it's selling houses or cars or insurance or RVs or whatever it is, that's what I've decided I'm going to try to do, and I'm going to just constantly improve at it, right? And eventually you'll be so good at it if you do anything over a long enough time period. And that's one thing too that I'm slowly working on, is talking to people and getting better. And, like, because eventually, over the long term, in 10 years, who knows, I could be a completely, like, extroverted person in 10 years, which is hopefully the goal, because, like, then you can make friends really easily and talk to people and have a big network, which is really what you want in life, is to know the people, know the right people, and be able to help people who will, and then in turn help you. And like, if you can do that, then what do you need money for if you have people on your team? If you have a team behind you. And that goes back to the confidence video and stuff. And then I was also listening to Les Brown. If you've ever heard of him, he's pretty old, I think. Like he's been around for a while, and he had a talk show. He had a couple other things too, but I think his biggest thing was a talk show. And he was also a motivational speaker, but I was listening to his video, and he was talking about dreams, and he's like, well, why do we have dreams? Like, what's the point of a dream if you don't go after it? Like, the whole idea behind a dream, the whole reason you have a dream is to go after it. And then what is life if you don't? Is life even worth living if you don't go after your dream? But then at the same time, it's like, the people who go after their dream have a reason to. They have a why. And that's something that I struggle with, is because, like, I don't have, like, an insane why. Because most of the people who do amazing things have a really strong why behind it, because they've gone through some hard things in their life. Like, his why was that he always wanted to buy his adopted mother a house because she could never afford a house in her life. So that was his why, and it was like something that meant a lot to him. And it was because he went through that hard time of not having a house, and she went through that hard time. And then, like, if you don't go through any hard times, then what's your why? And that's something I'm very grateful for, the life that I have. But at the same time, I haven't had anything that I've had to work through, or anything really bad happen in my life. And I'm grateful. I don't want anything bad to happen, but I'm just saying, like, that's where people get their why from, and their motivation to do these things and go out in the world and make themselves something, because they have these things from their past that push them to be the person that they become. And it's tough because, like, I don't have that, but I'm grateful, and knock on wood that nothing bad ever happens. But that's just what I'm saying. And then also another thing that I wanted to say was, instead, because I was doing those song quotes for a while, but instead there's this book that I'm reading called You Owe You by Eric Thomas, who's also a motivational speaker, and he's pretty good. But before I say the quote, it's kind of ironic, because in the beginning of the book he talks about coming from a victim's mentality, because he's African American, and he talks about how he never looked at the world with a victim mentality and stuff. But then throughout the book, he always talks about how his white peers have advantages over him, which I think is kind of ironic. But anyways, he says in his book, one of the best quotes that he has in there is, well, I don't even think it's in his book, but it's in one of his videos, and he says, "Don't cry to quit, cry to keep going." And I think that is such a good quote, and it's so true. And it's also true. He has another one that's passion beats talent over, or obsession beats talent over every single time. Obsession will beat talent, because the person that is obsessed with something and being the best and doing it every single day, they're going to end up being more talented than the talented person going into it is. And those are some cool things that I just wanted to share, that I came across the other day, and I think they're super cool. But anyways, I'm going to wrap up the video there. So if you made it this far, thanks for watching. Make sure to share the video with a friend, and if you want to join the Discord, it's an online brotherhood where we talk about a bunch of things life related and just improving life. It's in the description, link in description. Make sure you join that, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.